Detours. Brought to you by Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation. At the National Veterans Wheelchair Games this year, one of the newest events is the Adaptive Fitness Challenge, where chair users must complete a training circuit that's designed to test their physical fitness and mobility. Spearheading the Adaptive Challenge at the Games is Orlando VA Rec therapist Christina Lafex.
It doesn't matter whether you're disabled or able-bodied. The standard for physical fitness and physical activity is still the same. So it doesn't differ one way or the other. Just because you are disabled doesn't mean that you should be less physically fit than an able-bodied person. You can be equally as fit as them. It just looks a little bit differently. So for these movements, these are the same movements that somebody would do able-bodied. It just looks a little bit different. And then we try and replicate the movements that are done even in like a CrossFit style gym or a functional fitness gym. This way the veterans know what their individual scales and modifications are, and so they can go into any gym that does functional fitness or CrossFit or anything like that, and they'll know their individual scales and modifications because they've been training them at home, they've done them in a competitive environment here, but it's just as important. And regardless of what's going on in your life, fitness really could be the one element that can help you just feel more whole, feel more like yourself, and really feel empowered with what you physically and mentally are capable of doing. Because you have to have mental tenacity to do this workout. It's hard. And just to keep going, stay on the gas. So it's physically and mentally, it's demanding, but then you feel so empowered and so proud of your body. And I think for our populations here, feeling proud of your body is something that really needs to be highlighted. So here, they're able to showcase how functional their body is and how much they can still do. And it's very impressive work too, so it's certainly not for the faint of heart. We have 4 lanes where veterans are competing in functional fitness movements, even adding an element of cardiovascular challenge. So the premise behind adaptive fitness here, the training and the competition, is functional movements. So movements that a veteran would be using throughout their day-to-day life to include lifting something, twisting, reaching overhead, anything that's typically a functional movement is what we would like to replicate. This way they're practicing those at home in preparation for an event like this, but it also just improves their general independence at home too. So in this particular event, we are working veterans' aerobic capacity. So they do have to be on the ski erg for 200 meters or 100 meters, depending on their classification. It's a quick way to get your heart rate up, that's for sure. And then once you're a bit fatigued, you end up going right into a workout. It's called an AMRAP, which is as many rounds or repetitions as possible. And for those movements, it's a lap to overhead. For anyone doing that, we do have a lap mat that does go just to protect everybody's legs. It is mandatory. So this way they touch the lap and then they go up overhead. They are demonstrating what their individual range of motion is for every judge too, just so they're not putting themselves in a compromising position. Veterans are welcome to do it single hand or double, whatever they physically are capable of doing. Then there's a movement called Russian twist. That's where you take the weight again, and then you go side to side, again demonstrating what your individual range of motion is before the movement starts. And then box U-turns, or like box jumps or U-turns are the next movement. And for those, that's why there's these white lines that are set up here. And this just helps with veterans' agility and their everyday chair. So they do have to do a pretty quick turn. It's supposed to be some kind of active recovery built into the workout, but from what the veterans have been saying, that hasn't been much of a recovery. It's been a pretty tough and challenging workout, but it's been very welcomed.
We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Sports and Spokes magazine. For nearly 50 years, they've produced stories on iconic athletes performing at the top of their game, given generational coverage of sports dating back to the 1970s, and they've shown the way with exciting and timeless magazine cover shots. To stay on top of all the latest news from the world of high-performance adaptive sports, go to sportsandspokes.com. Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation.
The first round we had everybody go through yesterday. That's just to kind of feel it out and see how they feel going through the workout. And then today, everyone's kind of coming around. The trash talking has really picked up quite a bit. We've been confirming scores with everybody today, so there's a couple of veterans who are, close to placing, or like they're being knocked out of first place by only 2 repetitions, so they want to come back and try and knock out their competitor. So the trash talking has really increased significantly, but it also creates a wonderful community here. So we have a great adaptive fitness community with the veterans. So now there's that instant camaraderie, because you just did that really difficult workout and like you thrived in that environment. So there's instant respect from one veteran to the other.